Welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about building websites without knowing code. My personal website history goes back to like the beginning of time, at the start of the digital age. I'm not kidding, I built my first website in 1996 in my last year of university. It was like one little module inside of my very last course, inside of my graphic design major. Actually, my major was even just studio art. It wasn't even graphic design. That was my emphasis. So I had this one little morsel of introduction to HTML. We built a little one-page website in that class. And then the rest of it I just had to figure out. And everybody was figuring it out back in the mid-late 90s. And the stuff they were figuring out that you need to know to be able to build websites is the design stuff, like usability and design aesthetics. You need to know the code stuff, like how to actually build it to make it show up on the browser. And you need to know the server stuff, understanding domains and servers, and how do you get this website out there so that people can actually see it. And in 1996, nobody really knew how to do that. Everybody like me, we were just figuring it out as we went. Now, over the years, this has become so much easier. And I've seen it all from 1996 to right now, we're almost to 2023. So we're talking about 27 years of watching the internet grow and my agency growing with it. And over that run, I did huge websites for Fox Kids, Fox Family. At my agency, we were doing websites for Google and for Disney and for ABC. We were doing tons and tons of high-profile work for big brands. And the majority of my agency work was web-related. Now, I'm gonna take you through the history of how websites were built, and then we're gonna talk about no-code platforms and specifically Editor X, which is a super powerful, easy-to-use no-code platform that's built for designers. So if you're wanting to get into web design and you're not quite sure how to do it, I'm gonna show you the easiest way, and I'm gonna give you a little history lesson on how things were done back in the old day and how Editor X has solved so many of these problems for web designers. So back in 1996, what we did, we would telnet onto the server, and telnet is just a way to connect to a foreign computer, something that's not local to you. So we would telnet in and we would code directly on the live server. We would just code the HTML, the coding language of websites, we'd code it right there on the live server. And then you go into a browser like Mosaic, which is the browser that was popular at the time, and you would test to see if what you just wrote worked. And if it didn't work, you'd hurry and change the code on the live server to make it work again. This was the very first website that I ever built back in 1997 for my very first freelance client ever. And all this was like cutting edge, high-end website work back in the day. And the way that I built this was telnetting onto the server and coding directly onto that live server. So if you see a page like this, the Sierra project page, and you see the text and stuff on here and these buttons, well, right here is the code that powers that page. You can see the tables and centering things, and here's how you write the links and stuff. I'll just bold a couple of these things. Here's how you would center stuff. Font size equals 3. This one, font size equals 5, so I'm making it a little bigger. And if I wanted to change what was on the page, I would change it inside of the code like this. And then you would check and make sure that it worked on Mosaic or Netscape or whatever of those first generation browsers you were using. Now, coding sites like that it could be really daunting. Like, it's hard to learn the code. I wanted to design, but in order to create websites, I had to know enough code to be able to produce the design that I was doing. So a lot of the early designers in the internet era were code capable and design capable. And we were hired as like the web person at the company. A lot of these old companies called us the webmaster. Hey, you gotta hire a webmaster. And a webmaster was just somebody who had any kind of understanding of the internet and how to create a website. And it went on like that for the first handful of years of this .com boom. The challenge for designers is that we wanted to design something in a what you see is what you get style manner. WYSIWYG is what it's called. And there were no WYSIWYG platforms back in the day. And then Macromedia, which later got purchased by Adobe, came out with the product Dreamweaver. And Dreamweaver was the first kind of majority adopted product that could help you sort of see what you were coding and how it would display in a browser. And then you could publish from that tool. I'm gonna show you a little bit of Dreamweaver here, just so you can see what it was like. And Dreamweaver still exists today, and it's labeled as a tool for designers who can code. That's how they market this product. So this is the Dreamweaver interface, and you can see here that now I have the code on the bottom and the website on top. And if I wanna change what this button does, then I can just go and change it down here in the code, and I can see it reflected up above. So I'll just change this where it says the Sierra project right here, and I'll change it down here in the code and change it to Sierra project number 2, and then I can just go in and reload the page, and now you'll see that it changed that text on there. So I can kind of do this on the fly while I'm coding and testing, to see if it's gonna behave the way that I want it to. Now, like I said, Dreamweaver still exists and still used by people today, but back in the day, it was kind of revolutionary for us to be able to sort of do a WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get style development. The next big jump in the way websites were built came in like 2006, 2007, when everyone started using content management systems, and namely WordPress. WordPress started to become used as a CMS instead of a blogging tool, a content management system. And at my agency, we started using WordPress on every single site that we could. We had other clients that wanted us to use certain platforms. ABC Family was a client of ours, and they wanted to be on Drupal, so we implemented everything into the Drupal CMS. NBC Universal was on a different CMS. I don't remember what one they were on. Might have been Drupal back then too. It's been 15 years. My memory is starting to slip on what technologies we were using for what clients. But CMS became the buzzword in the 2007, 2008, even 2006 kind of started, and everything started to be built on a CMS. Let me show you what WordPress looks like. I still use WordPress on my website today, and in fact, 41.4% of the entire internet is built on WordPress, and 64.2% of all of the content management systems being used are WordPress. So WordPress, by far the dominant player in content management systems, but there's still some problems in WordPress relating to the WYSIWYG for designers, the what you see is what you get for designers. This is the back end of WordPress. This is my own personal site, and you can see here that we have different modules in kind of a boxed row style of being built. And I can go in here if I want to change this image. I can just add a new image to change it there. I'm not going to do that because this is my live site. I can change the text for something right here, and I can use some formatting tools, so I don't have to code it all by hand coding it like I did in the early days of that American Evergreen Foundation website that I showed you. You don't need to have the back-end code. That problem is largely solved by using WordPress and some of the theme builders that it has. Now, you still can custom code the crap out of a website using WordPress and just use it as a content management tool, which is why it's so popular. But for a web designer, there are ways around having to know code using WordPress. But there's still some limitations, and those limitations come in the fact that I'm designing in this type of interface, and the output is this type of page. I'm not seeing it being built in a design style environment. I'm looking at it in kind of a modular back-end system type of environment. Now, there are a few different companies that have built on top of WordPress a what you see is what you get type of builder, but WordPress wasn't built for that initially. It was built as a content management system, as a blog tool, and then a CMS it became. And then most of the people using WordPress use this type of an interface right here. But we're missing that what you see is what you get type of design environment. And with WordPress, you still have to understand some code stuff. You can go in and custom code and tweak all kinds of things. You have to be technically savvy to have WordPress work for you. You also have to have an understanding of the server stuff. How do we get this website live? How do we provision a server? How do we attach domains to this website? You have to have some kind of understanding of that. And then, like I said, there's not a WYSIWYG type of environment in the native WordPress itself. And like I said, there's some builders and things that have been built on top of it, but it's not the way that it was built out of the box, which makes it tough for designers who want to be able to design and see what they're designing and then just hit publish. Kind of like we do in Adobe InDesign, where we can design the page for our booklet that we're designing, and then that's what it's going to look like. And we can just print a rough draft example and see it in our hands and kind of know, okay, if the text is there on here on the screen, then the text is going to be there on the print as well. And that's the challenge for designers, that some new platforms, these no-code platforms, have solved. So they're solving these big three problems. They're solving the code stuff, the server stuff, and the what you see is what you get design environment. And in this video, I'm going to take you through Editor X. Editor X is a super powerful no-code platform. Let's dig into the back end of Editor X, help you see how it solves these problems for you as a web designer. And then we'll look at some examples of websites that are built on Editor X and how powerful it really is. Let's take a look at Editor X and how it solves these three problems that we have: design stuff, code stuff, server stuff. The things that cause us grief as web designers, or as just designers in general. We want to be able to create websites. Editor X makes it so easy. This is the Editor X homepage right here, and you can see some of their marketing information that tells you about the platform. And it's just as easy as clicking up here in this top right, Start Now, and it takes us to a screen where we can just sign up. And I already have an account, so I'm going to jump over to that account and show you what the dashboard looks like. After you have an account, it will take you to a page that is just my sites right here. You can see I have just a bunch of messy sites that I've been using for some demos and things for a web design course that I have. Creating a new site is just as easy as clicking this button up here in the top right, Create New Site, and then it's going to ask us if we want to create a site on Wix or if we want to create a site on Editor X. Editor X is owned by Wix, and Wix is a template-based website builder. Editor X is an appendage to their business that gives you a lot more power as a designer. So we're going to click on here, Editor X. That's what we want to use to build this website, and we're just going to start with a blank canvas. But they also have all of these templates that are pre-built sites that you can go and fill in and then just change out the images and stuff for your clients. Change out the images, change out the text, and the site is done. In my Web Design Business Bootcamp course, I show you how to do that. Links down below relating to that course. Anyway, we're just going to click blank, and I'm just going to show you how easy and how fast it is, and the what you see is what you get model of Editor X. So I have a blank site here. I'm just going to click right in the middle and say add element, and then I'm going to go over to these compositions on here, and the compositions are pre-built modules that you can just drop in. So I'm just going to drop the very top one in right here, and it pre-fills it with some text, a couple buttons, and a background image. And let's go in and let's just change this background image, and all I have to do is click on it right here and then go to the menu over on the side, and you'll see the image small, and I can just click change media. Let's just pick this photo right here, warm up on the beach. Has some photos already pre-installed that you can play with, but you can also upload any photos that you have. So I click that, and it swaps that photo out. Now we can see that this text is white, and it doesn't show very well on this photo. So let's just go and let's call this website, running on the beach. So that's going to be this website. And we want to change the color of that text so that it can be seen. So I'm going to change it to this color right here. I can do that from the dialog box right on the side. And now we see we have our running on the beach website. If we want to add another module down below, I'm going to click add element, and let's just take another module like this one let's do this one right here. About us, how it all started. And let's change out this image to be another fitness style image. Let's just type in and do a search for running and see what we have. Okay, here we have a bunch of runners. Let's pick this runner right here and populate that into that side. And here you could just type in some text about us, about your business. And one nice thing is that it's all happening right here in a what you see is what you get environment. I can see what these changes are doing, and I have complete control over what I want them to behave like. Like I can make this smaller or bigger, this image box. I can change out all the text. I can just delete this image completely and just say I don't want to have two images in that box. I can move things around, and I can test how these things are going to be viewed in a tablet or in a phone. So here's the tablet view. This is how it's going to be seen. And here's the phone view. Now I can see how these things are going to behave in those three different environments. And I can make little changes to each of the different platforms in this what you see is what you get environment. So powerful for designers, so fast to create websites. And when I'm ready to publish, it's just as easy as clicking the publish button up in the top right. It gives me two options: get a free Editor X domain or connect my own custom domain. So one of the problems that we need solved is the server stuff. This will provision a server and allow you to attach a custom domain to that website all inside of Editor X. You don't need to sign up for a hosting company and get a URL somewhere else or a website address somewhere else and then figure out how do I change all the code to link it over to my site and to the right server. You don't have to do any of it. It's all handled inside the back-end systems of Editor X in a way that is intuitive to you as a designer. You don't need to know the server stuff. You don't need to know code. You can design in a what you see is what you get environment. So if I click connect my own customized domain, click save, now it asks me, do you want to get a new domain or do you want to connect a domain you already own? Super, super simple. I'll click connect a new domain, and then it takes me to where I would purchase the proper plan and choose the domain that I want to have. Now, as far as pricing for something like this, it's not much different than what you're going to pay just for hosting a website somewhere, anywhere. GoDaddy, other Bluehost and other server companies are going to charge you a monthly fee, and Editor X does too, to use their platform. But when you consider the power of the tool, it's not much more than what you'd be paying in hosting fees somewhere else. Now, if you're not ready to publish it, you can just save this. It automatically saves, but you can save it and you can just preview. I'm going to click preview and we can see exactly what it's going to look like without the dialog boxes and things that are surrounding it in the Editor X editor mode. So super, super easy, solves our problems, no code. You don't need to know the code stuff. You don't need to know the server stuff. All you need to know is some design understanding, and it even helps you with that, with pre-built modules that you can just easily add into your site and change out information. Super, super easy, super, super powerful. Let's look at a couple of websites in their gallery, and you can see the power of what this tool does. On the top of the Editor X website, there is a button called Inspiration, and we can see a showroom, case studies, and shaping design. So let's just click into the showroom, and you can see some of the businesses that are using Editor X for their website and what is done. I haven't looked at any of these in advance, so we're just going to click on a few. Let's click on this one right here, Forum Group. And this site was built inside of Editor X. You can scroll down, you can see that it has this cool map element that is built inside a module in Editor X. Looks like they have some different brands. Let's click on this Nike one and see. Takes us to this nice looking case study page about Nike. Let's take a look at another one. All right, scrolling down, let's look at this one right here, the Creative Culture Club, and see what they do. See, these elements can fade in, and as I scroll, this element fades in. We've got nice big images. We've got a little carousel. These images just swapped through. So these are great looking websites all built inside of Editor X. It's a super powerful platform that really lets you do anything you want to do from a design standpoint inside of what you see is what you get environment. Let's click on another one just for fun. Scrolling down, I'll just click see more and we'll see something on a deeper page right here. How about this one, Fanny Demier. Fanny Demier. So this is an interesting navigation, nice big tall navigation. So that's a little out of the box. If I click about, it opens that up as a little expanded section. And then I can click on these and see where that takes us. Okay, so a little case study. Now look, this element right here on the right is locked and this element in the center is scrolling. So there's some interesting navigational things that you can do and locking things into place or having them slide in and out and stuff. It's just such a powerful tool. Anyway, super great platform, solves the problems that we had in yesteryear, 1996, 97, 98, Dreamweaver, custom code, everything hand-coded, telnetting onto the server. All the stuff that I lived through in building websites, it's all solved in such an easy way with this platform. I encourage you to check it out. Links down below. There's an affiliate link down there so that if you do decide to use Editor X, I appreciate the affiliate link as your gateway into the platform. And if you're interested in running a web design business successfully, I have a 26-hour course called Web Design Business Bootcamp that gives you everything you need to run a successful web design business. It is a ton of templates and processes and all of the strategies you need to have in place to run a successful web design business. And there's a module for Editor X inside of that that's a few hours of how do you use this platform as the platform of choice for your creative business. Anyway, check it all out. Hope you liked this video. Hopefully it gave you some insights into the history of building websites and where tools like Editor X fit into the puzzle of that today. Thanks a lot. We'll see you again soon.